is Mike Sigula from TrueTheory.com, and welcome to another episode of True Spirituality. So True Spirituality is my series where I talk about metaphysics, esoteric ideas and teachings, mysticism, shamanism, consciousness, spirituality, psychedelics, starseeds, a little bit of everything. So if you like these types of topics, welcome. If you're new here, please subscribe. Have a look at previous episodes as well, because we have something like 90 episodes already. And today we will talk about the eclipse on the 8th of April. What is the meaning? What is the significance? Should we expect anything to happen on that day? So I'll give you my perspective and my analysis of this celestial event and its significance. But before we're gonna start, just quick announcement. So have a look at truetheory.com/support and consider supporting my campaign, because my company is currently going through a lot of trouble, and this is mainly because of censorship. I've been heavily censored, and it led to a situation where my company is basically going through a near-death experience, and I explain everything on truetheory.com/support. Watch the video there. Consider supporting the campaign if you can, and if you're someone who cares about free speech and this type of content, people that deliver you this type of content for free, like we do, please go to truetheory.com/support and consider becoming a supporter. And consider supporting this campaign, or at least share it with others. Okay, let's get into the topic now. So, on 8th of April, there is a full solar eclipse. And many people think that there is some kind of significance to this event. Some people think that maybe this is some prediction from the Bible. And there's a lot of speculations that some big negative event will happen. Now, this kind of thinking, this kind of behavior creates a lot of fear. And this in itself is always dangerous. So first thing I want to say, and this is really one of the most important things, is stop worrying about it. Because a lot of people are worrying, oh, something bad's gonna happen, World War III, the end of the world, like, whatever. You're not gonna help ever and change anything if you're gonna worry about it. And if millions of people are worrying about something like that, that's actually exactly the type of result that the dark side, the negatives, would want to achieve. To have millions of people focused or be scared about something negative, something evil that might occur. So stop doing that. Stop worrying, because you are actually contributing to it. And you might actually, if millions of people start worrying about something, this might actually result in creating that, because we have creative ability. Our consciousness is creating reality, and if we are worrying about something, or we put our attention into one event and it's in a negative way, then this actually might bring a negative result. So first thing, just stop worrying about if something bad might happen. Now, I want to say a couple of things. So the way that, especially the negative, the dark side, operates is that they try to create negative scenarios, very often using specific alignments, specific astrological alignments, specific celestial events, specific numerological dates, etc., and cycles, right? So sometimes some kind of big cycle ends or peaks in specific time, and this can be used to start some kind of event or period, and this can be used for good or for bad, right? So I call it divine timing, and divine timing can be used for good or for bad. So think about it this way. Let's say if you know you're a sailor and you have your boat, and if you know where and when there will be the right wind, you can take advantage of that and, you know, sail and get to wherever you want to get, right? So it's a little bit like that with these alignments, with these types of celestial events, astrological alignments, or cycles, or numerological dates and things like that. That some of them have specific types of energy presented, you know, and especially the more powerful ones are when there is a bunch of different alignments or cycles that coincide around the same time. And this particular eclipse seems to have quite a few of those. So first, this is the year of dragon, right? So a lot of people have already different ideas about that this is an important event because of the year of dragon. Another thing is, numerologically, 2024 is actually 8, and 8 is the end of the cycle, right? So 4 is one cycle, 4 seasons. 8 is infinity. It's actually the full end of a cycle. So again, you know, 2024 seems to be this important event of a big shift, big end of some kind of era, some kind of period. Another thing is that the eclipse is actually halfway through of Mercury retrograde, right? So Mercury retrograde is happening now till something like 25th, I think, of April, more or less. And this is an astrological alignment where there are a lot of misunderstandings, things break, and stuff like that. And I'm already noticing this. It's only 3rd of April today when I'm recording this, and already I've been noticing things breaking all over. Now, another thing about eclipses is that if you think about just symbolic meaning of the eclipse, it is a lack of sun, right? The sun is basically covered with the moon for a short period, which means the darkness is present, right, during the day. And the negative, the dark side, is lost these types of alignments because it's almost like they operate within, you know, they are negatively polarized. So everything that is related to darkness, the opposite of sun, is kind of their vibe, their energy levels. So for example, let me give you previous examples. So 2020, you had 6 eclipses, and there was an eclipse on 20th of June or 21st of June, something around that, which is exactly around solar solstice. So on the longest day of the year, where you have the most of exposure to the sun, you actually had an eclipse. And 6 eclipses in 1 year is quite a lot as well. And 2020 numerologically is like the reset, kind of. So what happened in 2020? We know what happened was COVID, lockdowns and things like that. So that was a perfect kind of alignment for these types of things to happen. So they love to operate within specific alignments. And this date is definitely an important one. But it doesn't really mean that there will be something really crazy bad happening around this date. To give you more examples about the significance of eclipses. So last year, for example, on the 6th of May, there was a coronation official ceremony of King Charles in England, and that was actually the day after lunar eclipse. So 5/5, May 5th, there was a lunar eclipse, and they did the ceremony and the coronation on Saturday, the day after. And actually, there was announcement apparently everywhere, like on the news and everywhere, that British people can now pledge allegiance to the new king, even if they are not taking part in the ceremony, but actually from their homes and things like that. Why this is happening exactly in this way? So first is the coronation was just after the eclipse. Secondly, King Charles is the puppet of some of the dark side dudes, basically. So they love to use these types of alignments, the darkness represented with the eclipse and things like that, as a significant date for, getting one of their puppets to become a leader, right? And now, when perhaps millions of people pledged their allegiance to the new overlord on the eclipse, that actually gives them more power and creates contracts, because a lot of these people now officially declared that they're the slaves of the new king, basically. So they give their power to that, and whoever is in charge of what he's doing and his actions and things like that, now they actually create contracts with these people who pledge their allegiance, right? By the way, if you were one of those people who decided to do it, you can cancel the contract, this agreement, karmic agreement, by just saying, I cancel all contracts that do not serve my highest purpose. That's hopefully gonna cancel if there were any agreements formed on that day. Now, I want to say one thing. Yes, this is an important eclipse, but it doesn't mean that something really terrible is going to happen. My view is that they are trying to use this period to push some kind of new agendas, but in my view, we are on a positive timeline. At least the main timeline is the positive. Doesn't mean that everyone is on positive, but the main timeline is positive one. And that means that nothing really crazy will work out for them. There might be something happening, but it's probably not gonna take off or not gonna last very long. So they are trying, because this is the period where they can push some kind of negative events and things like that. So recently, for example, there was a Russian rocket invaded Polish airspace. That was towards the end of March, and actually there was an eclipse around that time as well. So they are trying to kind of put some gasoline into the pot, basically, to steer, because this is the energy of darkness. It's kind of volatile, etc. And they try to take advantage of that to escalate conflicts and things like that, right? For example, just recently, Israel actually killed some Iranian officials in Syria. This is another one of those attempts where they're trying to trigger some kind of massive event that would cause another, retaliation, etc. But my perspective is that even if anything would start, it wouldn't escalate into something like a World War III or anything like that. This is what they would love to have, but even if something's going to happen, it's not going to last long enough. That's my perspective, because in my view, we are on a positive timeline. So that means there will be these attempts. There might be some conflicts starting, but they will not escalate into a full-blown World War III scenario, for example, which is the goal, basically, was the goal. But so far we are 2 years into the conflict with Ukraine, and it did not escalate yet at all, and it did not escalate, and I think this is not gonna escalate further. Now, another very interesting thing is that NASA is actually sending 3 rockets on the 8th of April. So these rockets are apparently gonna study how the eclipses are altering upper atmosphere of Earth. But what's interesting is how they are called. The atmospheric perturbations around eclipse path, APEP. So they called their rockets APEP. And APEP is actually an Egyptian lord of chaos, also known as the serpent or massive snake or something like that. So they love these types of symbols and using significance in these ways. So who knows? Maybe this has some further meaning. But just to summarize everything what I said, stop worrying about the eclipse on 8th of April, even if there will be happening something. And by the way, there might be some earthquakes around April, because this is actually the year of solar maximum, and if you don't know, this is a pretty big cycle. So last year was apparently the hottest year on record, and what it means is that sun goes through these 12-year cycles or 11-year cycles where they peak. The peak is apparently this year or next year. So all these different factors are kind of adding up together, and that's why I said when you have several different factors, different cycles ending, different alignments, all coinciding, like the Mercury retrograde, the eclipse, all these different things, then you can expect some fireworks, you can expect bigger activities happening. But because we are on a positive timeline, the main timeline, I think this will not escalate into anything super crazy. And even if something would start, like some kind of war, another war, or some negative event, it would not escalate into a full-blown conflict later on. So this is what I think. Stop worrying about it. Meditate. Focus on something positive. Start getting your head around what's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen, Stop watching these guys who are spreading fear about it and just relax and don't worry too much. Even if something's gonna happen, it's not gonna probably escalate into anything major long term. So this is my perspective. Let's see what's gonna happen, who is right about it. And again, go to truththeory.com/support, have a look what's going on there, and support this campaign so we can continue making this content and continue as a brand and as a company. Thank you for watching another episode of True Spirituality, and till next time.